G'day humans, Chris Stead from Fine here. We're talking NFT games and today the topic is electronic arts, also known as EA or sometimes as EA Sports. Now this video is part of a series I'm going to do on the AAA video gaming scene, so the developers and the publishers and the console manufacturers, examining where they're standing on NFTs, blockchain, the metaverse, play to earn gaming and all that good stuff, right? Now, the reality is that these guys, these are the big players in the scene, these are the established brands and they make incredible games and they have the power to really move the needle on NFT games in a way that perhaps others in the industry simply do not have. So we're going to dive in and really explore what each of these guys is doing, where their head's at with it all, what they're saying publicly, what they're doing in the background, and really dive in and analyze it. So first up, let's dive into EA Sports and EA and electronic arts. So let's begin by getting an idea for the role that EA plays in the video games industry. Now, this is one of the biggest third-party publishers there is. In fact, it's got a market cap of about $39 billion. So they're huge, right? In fact, they've been around for about 40 years. In fact, 2022 is their 40th year since they were formed. And for that initial period of their life, they were best known as a publisher. So they'd take other developers' games and kind of make a big deal out of them. Some of the early games that you might have heard of include The Bard's Tale, Marble Madness, Skate or Die, Populous, SimCity, Wing Commander. These are all games that kind of were pushed and published by EA. You know, through the 90s and definitely into the 2000s, EA started to make more of a name for itself as a developer. It still does a lot of publishing as well, but it's got a big suite of internal developers. And it also acquired a lot of big name developers. So it acquired the likes of Westworld Studios, Bullfrog, Maxis, Criterion, Respawn Entertainment. They acquired BioWare, and most recently they acquired Codemasters, the whole of Codemasters, another huge publisher in its own right as well. With all those developers in mind, the impact that EA can have on the NFT game space can really be seen by the IPs it now owns. So you're talking about the likes of Battlefield, Need for Speed, Burnout, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Dead Space, Command & Conquer, The Sims, Plants vs Zombies, Bejeweled, Grid, Dirt, Mirror's Edge, just to name a few. On top of that, they've also got their sport games, which I'm sure is what you've probably heard about. So you've got the FIFA, you've got NBA, you've got Madden, you've got UFC, you've got Fight Night, you've got PGA Tour Golf, you've got SSX. So there's a huge range of sports games. And what's particularly big in those sports games, in fact, making them hundreds of millions of dollars every single year, is the Ultimate Team experience. It's a collectible side game that happens within these bigger sports titles. And that is where the idea of blockchain and NFT technologies feels like an immediate and obvious synergy. As a side note, I've gone to the studio over in Vancouver where they make FIFA to do some coverage for some of the magazines I've worked for in the past, and god damn, that thing is humongous. It's like an university campus. It's huge. It's got like sports grounds and multiple buildings and roads running through it, and an arcade area, and even its own cafeteria, which is called EAT. Just thought it was kind of cute. Anyway, this is the size of the entity that EA is. Like their developers are humongous. But I digress. The first time EA really publicly identified any sort of interest in NFT or the blockchain technology happened in August 2021. Now at this point, the company put some job postings up looking for some people to work specifically on blockchain and NFT technology moving forward. And that included a senior director, some software engineering roles, and also someone looking after strategic growth in this space. So that was kind of the first time we saw EA go, hey, we are actually going to employ people here to start exploring what this technology can offer. This is a fair bit after the likes of Microsoft and Ubisoft have been working on it years at this point, right? In November 2021, that's the first time CEO Andrew Wilson came out and actually said something about NFTs to his investors. And that was that they are the future of the games industry. And I'm actually going to read you the full quote there. Anything that brings more people in and engages those people for more time is a good thing. I think that it is the very foundation of our live services. I think the play to earn or the NFT conversation is still really, really early. And there's a lot of conversation and hype about it. I do think it will be an important part of the future of our industry on a go-forward basis. So obviously in those comments, Andrew Wilson is flagging the fact that he's aware that it's very, very early in the play to earn and the NFT space. But he specifically mentioned there the power he sees it can play and the role it can play in the live services which EA offers, and there's many of those, as you put a guess from the IPs I was mentioning at the top there. However, he then said some more which indicates more specifically the focus there potentially on Ultimate Team. I think that in the context of the games we create and the live services we offer, collectible digital content is going to play a meaningful part in our future. So it's still too early to tell, but I think we're in a really good position and we should expect EA to think more innovatively and creatively about that on a go-forward basis. Another side note for you, Andrew Wilson is actually an Aussie dude. And I first came across him, I think back when Rugby 06 was coming out. He was the product manager for Rugby 06, EA Sports Rugby 06 game. And we had a few drinks and went through the game and a few bits and pieces back when he was in Australia. So big ups to my fellow Aussie there for climbing up the ranks and getting as high as he's done. He's done really well. So Andrew Wilson made those comments in November 2021, but things are about to change in a big way, in a way that the AAA video games industry was going to start dealing with and talking about their intentions with blockchain and NFT technology. And that's because Ubisoft released Quartz. Now Quartz is an NFT platform made by the company, and they released experimented with 3 skins for Ghost Recon Breakpoint that were called digits, right? Now, the reaction from the AAA or for traditional gamers to the release of this was pretty furious. At the time, you can go and have a look at some of the articles that are up at that period and just have a look at the commentary underneath those just to see how aggressively upset not just traditional gamers, but also a lot of the traditional games media were that these things even existed or even tried. Right? Lots of people banning them out as being very environmentally dangerous, and look, there's definitely environmental concerns that need to be taken to address. That's a different conversation altogether. And actually, I've done a whole video on this, so I'm not going to go into it too much. But the reality is this put a lot of other publishers on the back foot with their intentions. EA, at this point, started facing some internal backlash as well. So there were some Slack threads that were released or leaked to media in which some components of the EA staff started to push back against Andrew Wilson's intentions with NFTs and that. And indeed, there's some comments from Wilson himself where he acknowledges the environmental sustainability issues and also the problems that come from having speculative markets in games. So at this point, in December 2021, we're starting to see, I guess, a bit of, I wouldn't say indecision, but a bit of an inability to say exactly what their intentions are. Now, come January 2022, I published an interview with Nicholas Puard, who's the head of the division at Ubisoft, who's working on their blockchain technology and on the Quartz platform. Now, that interview absolutely blew up the internet, and I know that sounds like I'm kissing my own butt a little bit, but just go have a look for yourself. That thing is referenced in so many articles, and it is filled with hate-filled commentary from media, but also from the readers of that media as well. And that really started to put a warning sign for any of these AAA game developers that, hey, if you go into this just whack and just do it the way that Ubisoft did it, then you're going to get some serious backlash. So come February 2022, Andrew Wilson had started to cool his heels a little bit. He started to say things like, we'll evaluate NFTs over time, which is obviously a far less aggressive statement than saying that NFTs are the future of the industry. But in that same speech, he went on to suggest that they are still going to look at them. What he said was, collectability is really built on 4 key metrics. That's around high quality content, scarcity, proof of authenticity, and a group of people that find value in that content. Collectability will continue to be an important part of our industry and the games and experience that we offer our players. Whether that's part of NFTs in a blockchain, well, that remains to be seen. Right now, it's not something that we're driving hard towards. Well, I think that's an incredibly intriguing quote there from Andrew Wilson, because it ends by having this kind of gamer classifying statement about, hey, we're not really pushing towards this, we're not driving hard towards it, it's not this big thing for us. But the whole start of that comment is all about these 4 key pillars about collectability. And those 4 key pillars are driven, or are basically exactly what blockchain technology and NFTs offer. And then they've gone on to say that, yes, and this is going to be a huge part of our business. So we know this technology exists that is going to allow us to hit these 4 pillars of the collectability. And we know collectability is going to be this huge thing for our company moving forward. But yeah, we're not really driving towards that. Please. So that brings you up to speed to where we are right now when I'm filming this, which is June 2022, on everything that EA has kind of done publicly and behind the scenes in regards to NFTs and blockchain, the metaverse, play to earn gaming, that entire space. However, there's a little bit more to this conversation as well. In May 2022, FIFA and EA split their long-term agreement, decades-long agreement. So the next FIFA game from EA effectively is not going to be called FIFA 23, it's going to be called EA Sports FC 23, I assume. And FIFA is going to go ahead and make its own game now. So you're going to have two soccer games, one from EA, one from FIFA, competing in the same space. Now, within kind of weeks of that being, that split being announced, FIFA, the governing body of soccer, signed a partnership with green blockchain solution Algorand, who's one of kind of big up and coming blockchains, which aims to be not only efficient and cheaper, but also environmentally friendly as well. That's really intriguing. And I do wonder whether or not there was some sort of loggerheads there as when they were trying to work out this licensing agreement to continue the partnership between FIFA and EA on how they were going to handle Ultimate Team, the blockchain and the royalties and everything around that. And the fact that FIFA's pretty much gone straight away and signed up with a blockchain partner suggests that, well, they can no longer use whatever EA was building to facilitate that in the future. Or maybe it's just coincidence, hey. I am a journalist. In my opinion, EA is all in on at least the blockchain, if not NFTs moving forward. It just makes too much sense. They're talking about this collectability market that they've got in their games and how important it is to their future. And they're talking about things like scarcity and proof of authenticity. And this is exactly what the blockchain delivers better than any other technology solution out there. So of course they're going to adopt it. And maybe not just in their sports games, but also their titles like Apex Legends, for example, Battlefield, and these other games that also have a collectible element as part of the experience. So we're going to definitely expect more of that. However, we're going to see people like Wilson be much more back offish when they're talking to gamers about their activity in this space because of the reaction to things like Quartz and because of the concerns that gamers have, and rightfully so, about what is happening in regards to hacking and scams and the environment in these early days of the play-to-earn NFT space industry. However, to investors, you're going to continue to see Wilson be probably pro-blockchain in his wording, because that is actually going to start boosting up their stock, because stakeholders are a believer in this technology is going to take their companies to greater and better places. Now, let's also not forget, this is EA we're talking about, who has a long and established history of not really caring what gamers think in the end of the day. This is one of the few publishers that actually came out and tried to defend loot boxes when they came out. And their work with DLC and DRM and especially microtransactions has been so aggressive to the point in the past where it's literally killed AAA games. So take it from me, it's happening with EA. It's just a case of when, not if. I'm Chris Stead from Finder. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check my other videos out and keep an eye out for more videos on my channel as I take you through the other AAA publishers, game makers, and console manufacturers in the space and what they are doing with NFTs, blockchain, metaverse, play to earn, and all that stuff. Thanks very much for watching, and until next time, no worries. See you later.
Find better.